Alright guys, what's going on? This is Otis here, and this is my artillery guide. And the basic things you need to know with the artillery is you have 6 dummy rockets, and the range on them is if the artillery vehicle is on the flak ground, your minimum range is going to be about 100 meters, and your maximum range is going to be about 350, 375 meters. You can increase or decrease that range if the artillery vehicle is on a slope of a hill, and it's, if you're facing up, you'll get a little bit more. If you're facing down, you'll obviously get a little bit of less distance. So one thing I would say on these rockets, at least, is you definitely have to aim in front of your targets if you're aiming at vehicles, of course, because typically 9 times out of 10 the vehicles are not going to be moving unless you're shooting at another artillery vehicle. So you're definitely going to have to learn how to time your rocket shots. And another thing you're going to want to work for too is having friends call out where your rockets are landing so you can readjust your fire, because not all the time you're going to be able to see where your rockets are firing. And another definitely good tactic that I would do too is when you see the objectives flashing, just start shooting rockets towards them. Even if someone has just captured an objective, just fire rockets towards them. I can't tell you how many times where I'll just randomly get a kill, or I just shoot towards an objective that's already been captured, and you'll be surprised on how many kills you'll get, how many vehicle disables you'll get. And it's a very interesting vehicle. One thing for this setup that I highly recommend is using the anti-personnel smoke. Once you unlock that, the anti-air missiles, which I'll get into a little bit later on, but you'll get a lot more kills, a lot more disables when you use those anti-air missiles. And so we're going to start the guide here. I'm going to tell you where the vehicle spawns at, how long it takes to reload everything, and then I'll go more in depth on the anti-air missiles and the smoke. Okay, and for the ground dummy rockets, what you have to keep in mind and watch out for is when you're reloading the rockets, it reloads all 6 of the rockets. So even if you fire one rocket, it'll reload every single one. So that's something you have to watch out for. It takes 8.15 seconds to reload the whole entire thing. So just keep in mind when you have to reload the rockets, because you don't want to fire a few, then maybe reload and get stuck reloading, because you'll end up getting yourself killed. Okay guys, and for the artillery anti-air missiles, it takes 9 seconds for each missile to reload. Another thing you have to remember too, it's not like the artillery rounds where it reloads all of them, it reloads one at a time. So it's okay to shoot one off, wait for them to flare, and shoot the other one off. You don't have to worry about reloading both of them. Okay, now on to the first spawn points. On Death Valley here, when you're the Americans, you're going to capture A right here, and you're going to head down this little path and towards the right side. And once A is captured, the artillery vehicle will spawn, and it will be right here, and you're going to be able to jump into it and start driving towards the enemy. And there we go. And so on the Russian side now, it's going to be on E. And once you capture E, you're just going to drive down this path, and once the point is captured, the vehicle will spawn, and you can jump into it and start having some fun. Okay, and this is the only spawn point here in Albazar Mountains, and when you capture B, it's going to be right in front of the tents right here, so you got to be careful with that too, because there's only one spawn point. Both sides, however, can get artillery vehicles, so if one side ends up capturing B, and then the other side captures B, there can be 2 artillery vehicles, so that's something to watch out for too. Okay guys, and the spawn point on Armored Shield is right here on E for the Russian side, so you're able to get it once the flag's captured. It can spawn for both sides there also, and for the American sides, A is where it spawns right here when A is captured, and you're able to get in it and start driving away. Okay, and last but not least is Bandahar Desert, and the one interesting thing about this map is both artillery vehicles will spawn in the deployment, so that's something you have to watch out for, and hopefully you can sprint to them and get into them right away, because they are very highly contested vehicles at the beginning of the match. Okay, now for the anti-air missiles. What I've noticed so far is the flares do distract the anti-air missiles. However, the ECM, what I've seen for the helicopters so far is if you're able to get missiles off before they pop their ECM on helicopters, it'll still hit them about 50% of the time. And with the airplanes, if they have ECM and they pop it, but you shoot your missiles before that, what I've noticed is that about 70 to 80% of the time you'll still end up hitting the plane even after they've ECM, as long as you fired your missiles before that. The AC-130 now, each missile will do 20 damage, and so what I would highly suggest, if there's no other vehicles around to shoot, is to start shooting at the AC-130, because that cannon, when it does come down, it can kill you and kill you out of the seat, but the artillery vehicle will still be there, so it's something you definitely have to watch out for. And I would highly suggest shooting the AC-130 whenever that's the closest possible, followed by planes and the helicopters, and then shooting to your ground targets. Alright guys, and the very last thing for the artillery that you unlock is the anti-personnel smoke, which goes in your middle slot, and you can either use IR smoke or the anti-personnel smoke. Typically, what I like doing is using the anti-personnel smoke. You do have to be careful with it. What I've noticed so far is if you're backing up the artillery vehicle and you do end up popping the smoke, it's going to kill you pretty much 9 times out of 10. If you're standing still, it's going to damage you about 50% of the time, and when you're going forward, 9 times out of 10 it won't damage you, so you do have to be careful with that. What I would highly suggest is trying to run someone over first, and if you're not able to run him over, pop that smoke, or if you see a C4 guy putting smoke on your vehicle, pop that smoke and you'll kill him pretty much 9 out of 10 times too. So that's a good tip for the smoke right there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and thanks for watching.